Joining me now to discuss more about this year-long keeping the kids in front of a screen instead of back in the classroom. Rebecca Friedrichs. Rebecca, thank you so much for coming on the program. How are you today?
I'm doing great. It's my pleasure to be here.
So where do I begin? We watched the CDC backpedal after pressure from the White House, and we know it was pressure because the CDC director a couple of weeks ago comes out, goes on camera, says, let's go back. Then we see the press secretary, Jen Psaki, come out and go, well, she wasn't speaking on behalf of the CDC at that point. She was speaking on behalf of herself. And then they backpedal on their, well, we're going to get all the schools opened up, no problem. First 100 days, everything's going. Now it's one a day or a week or whatever they're doing. You know as well as I do what's happening behind closed doors. If folks don't know, fill them in.
Yeah, absolutely. These people are deceivers, and we need to see them for what they are. So the first thing I'd like to help your viewers understand is that the National Education Association, that's the largest national teachers union. And by the way, like you said, they don't represent good teachers like me. They represent themselves, and they actually undermine good teachers like me. Well, the NEA actually rewrote the scientific method. They actually crossed out empirical evidence based on the repeated steps of the scientific process, and they changed that to scientific theory and scientific consensus. And then they only accept the consensus of their friends who are deceiving everyone like they are. So the first thing we need to realize is when they say they're following the science, they are not following the real science that the rest of us are following. So we need to be wide open to their tactics and their deception.
Well, and I'll go back to even the bigger picture. The whole COVID fiasco of the last year in this country has been politicized and blown out of proportion. I think a bunch of the mainstream corporate media is guilty of sensationalizing the whole thing. And we know, and I bring this up as often as I can, died with, died from. The big 500,000 number yesterday that the Biden White House and everybody paid tribute. I am no way trying to demean the fact that we have lost thousands of American lives to this very deadly virus. However, it is not 500,000 because we have been told time and time again, I'm sure in your research you found the same thing, they are marking down folks who died because of the direct contracting the virus, shut down their system, killed them. Yes, but then they are also putting on that number folks who died with it in their system from other causes, but at the time of death, they draw your blood. If COVID's in your blood, you're a COVID death. That doesn't mean it killed you. You could have died in a car accident or of stage 4 cancer you had, but because it was in your system, you're now going to that total of 500,000, correct?
That is precisely correct. And again, it's deception. So when we look at everything that they're doing, let's just take the CDC, for example. They're run by the unions. So when you look at the teachers' unions, who are very corrupt, a lot of these three-letter organizations that are corrupt, a lot of these organizations, like the CDC, are run by the very same people who are running the teachers' union. So what else would we expect? Except to be told lies. Yeah.
I find it interesting, too, that you're only seeing the ones that have the massive power, too. You've got the Chicago schools that have been fighting back against their Democrat mayor, L.A., San Francisco. It's mostly large Democrat-controlled areas with large unions. But then you have states like Florida, Indiana, parts of Ohio, down in the South, and the Plain states, where they've been back in class either at a hybrid type thing, half on, half off, or fully back in class. And there's no spike in cases. There's no unions fighting back against their mayor, their governor. The kids are back getting education. This is not happening in the entire nation. It's happening in certain cities and states around the country, right?
That's right. And I'd love to help your viewers understand what's going on here. So what the unions do is they always start with larger school districts. They control them first because they can get a really loud voice and they can get a lot of power that way. And then they just bully all the other smaller districts. I actually live in a large district in Southern California. We're a very conservative area, but our teachers union has destroyed our schools and made it seems like we live in a far left area, but we don't at all. These unions are controlling us. So let me explain it this way. Education is key to our liberties. Education is the one thing that our founders knew. The only way to keep a free republic is with a well-educated, moral citizenry that can self-govern. So what these unions did is they they infiltrated teacher associations. They got into our schools so that they could undermine the great education that our founders set up, which was a system of excellence, morality, discipline, safety. Parents were involved 100%. The unions showed up when they brought in collective bargaining. They dumped out the parents. They infiltrated the PTA. So if you're in the PTA, you need to get out because it's been infiltrated and taken over by the unions. Do a PTO instead. And so what happens now is for decades and decades, these unions have completely undermined our schools. So my question right now is, I think we're at a place where we kind of have a blessing in disguise. Kids are home. Okay, they're safe from these horrible schools, as long as you don't have them on virtual learning with these public schools run by unions. What are we going to do? Are we going to beg and beg and beg for them to reopen these union-controlled schools so our kids can be abused more and not get a good education? Or are we going to take advantage of this and fully expose these unions, kick them out? Teachers have the right to kick the unions out. They can decertify them. Individual teachers can stop paying them today. They can come to our website for kidsandcountry.org and learn how to do that. And they can get liability coverage from private groups that will actually protect them. So it's just an education campaign, helping people to understand there's a lot we can do to immediately affect great change in our schools, have smaller neighborhood schools that are rid of these evil unions that are really undermining our country in so many ways. So I think this is a blessing in disguise.
Well, I know not everybody has the good fortune to be able to do school choice and put their kids in a private or charter school, and now you have an administration trying to get rid of that altogether, again, being pressured by the unions. But the bottom line here, Rebecca, as we wrap things up, is we are doing serious harm to our children by them not learning like they're supposed to. And whether that's online or in a classroom, point blank, they're not getting the education they need from the laptop, from the computer, but also they're not getting the interaction, the social knowledge they need, the physical activity they need of going on recess or in a gym class. This year lockdown has done more damage to our kids than I think any period we can probably look to in our country's history. And something has to be done. So, Rebecca, one more time, let folks know if they want to get more information. It is called what again? For Kids and Country?
Yes, they can find us at forkidsandcountry.org.
All right. Rebecca Friedrichs, thanks for coming on. Thanks for being a voice out there for our kids and being a teacher with some guts and standing up to these all and mighty unions who, I'm sorry, don't have our children's best interest in mind. You take care.
You too. Thank you.